here with another episode on making a 48. Today we are here with
Conrad Faraj.
And what got you into filmmaking?
Well, that's a good question, Ron. First of all, thank you for interviewing me. It's going to be fun. Honestly, what got me into filmmaking was Harry Potter.
Really?
Yeah, it was Harry Potter because I remember, I had always wanted to dwell into making videos,
Mm-hmm.
but what really got me into making movies was after I saw Chamber of Secrets. I remember coming home from the theater and wanting to just write out fan fiction, like Harry Potter fan fiction. And then I said, wouldn't it be cool if someone made a movie about this? And I'm like, who do I know that makes movies, about with short stories? And then I said, well, that's ridiculous. No one's going to make my short story into a movie. Maybe I'll attempt to do it. So I literally got a camera, which I think was this camera, this old camera, or this version of the camera.
Yeah.
And literally me and my neighborhood friends, we just got together and I had no idea what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the Party City to get a bunch of makeup. And we painted our faces and we created different monsters and characters and we created a Harry Potter spin-off. And that's how I literally got started.
Wow. Is that floating around on YouTube? Or is that too embarrassing to be out there right now?
It is on YouTube.
Yeah?
It is the first ever movie that I ever did is on YouTube. It's called The Big Disaster. Literally, that's what I called the short story, The Big Disaster. I wasn't clever with titles back then, so I called it The Big Disaster. And if you YouTube Conrad The Big Disaster, God bless you because it's horrible. So,
well, as far as filmmaking goes, do you prefer to make music videos, shorts, documentaries, features? What do you enjoy doing the most?
Oh, I have no preference. I like good stories. Yeah. If the story is a documentary and it grabs me, then that's what I love. If it's a feature film, then I love it. Or a short, whatever it is. As long as it tells a compelling story, I'm all about it. So I really have no preference, with those.
As far as the 48 goes, do you have a general strategy that you do when you put a team together, or a way that you shoot it? I want to shoot these we're going to shoot ours on Fridays, or we're going to shoot ours on Saturday evening, or do you try to do it a specific way each time, or does it depend on what you choose?
Well, that's a very good question. It has varied for me, honestly. Mm-hmm. The first 48 that I did, it was in 2000 and either 8 or 9. I want to say it was 2009, and it was horrendous. The Conrad Big Disaster movie was way better. My first movie was better than the 48 that I did. That's how horrible this 48 was. It was the most atrocious 48. In fact, I have it hidden on my social media from anyone ever finding it. And that one's called The Story.
It's not public?
It's not public.
Okay.
I don't think it's public. It's called The Story Never Told. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, it was a nightmare because we had never done the 48. I had 7 writers. I mean, everyone on the team was a writer. We were all trying to write because we thought, the more people writing, it'll be easier. Mm-hmm. And then we were just all clashing. I wasn't a fully experienced director. I mean, I had done short films for about 6 years, but I wasn't a full-on filmmaker. So we didn't shoot till, I think it was Saturday late afternoon, 6 p.m., 6 or 7 p.m. That's when we started filming. Wow. And we decided to make it a war movie. I quit at around midnight. Because I just got fed up with everything. I remember
you left the project?
I left the project. It was my team. It was Conrad Studios, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And I just threw the SD card at whoever it was, and I'm like, here, you freaking finish this movie, blah, blah. We all just got into each other's faces, all of us. It was a madhouse. And I said, I'm never doing a 48 again. This is garbage. I went home. I was delirious because I had never in my life stayed up for that long, because we were up all night Friday thinking and arguing, and up all day Saturday brainstorming until we finally hit something. And then by the time Saturday night came about, we hadn't even finished filming. I was fried, and everyone just kept arguing. So then I went to bed at Saturday night, exiting the project. I left it with some other people, and then I get a call at around noon, hey, can you help us edit this? Let's just put the bullshit aside. Let's just help us edit this. And I was just okay, yeah. I slept now. My mind is clear. And I remember we sat down and we edited the project, and I remember the project was awful. I mean, it was shit. It was terrible. But at least we had it finished at that. We had something finished. I wasn't a fan of it, but we had it finished. And I remember we raced across town to downtown Cleveland, and at the time they were doing it at this like bar in like the main downtown. There was this bar. It was called the Anatomy Nightclub, which was the Drop Off. And I remember there was a parade happening in the middle of that day. There was like a parade, and we were like literally running so late. And I remember we were stuck like literally downtown because the police had like stopped traffic. Mm-hmm. So I was with my producer at the time, Meg, and my friend David, who was driving us, and they just said, "Get out of the car, run to the drop off." So I literally sprinted there, and with I think 30 seconds to spare, we got it in.
Wow.
So, and it was awful.
Have you ever been late turning your 48?
No, we've never been late. No. So then we've done a couple of 48s. So then back to your question.
Yeah.
That's when I started to realize we can't have too many cooks in the kitchen. I can't have too many people in charge of writing. It has to be like 1, 2, maybe 3 people at the most. I can't have like 7 or 8 writers. No, not everyone can be a writer. They can put ideas, but not everyone can be a writer.
Yeah.
So then it wasn't until like 2018 that I was like, I'm going to have full control of this. And I hadn't done the 48 in several years. But in 2018, I said, I'm going to have full control of this. I'm going to keep my crew small. I'm not going to worry about the technical details. I don't care what camera we use, as long as we tell a good story. Because I was always concerned about, we need better gear. We need better this or that. I said, if I have clean sound, and if I just get anything that records, if I get a good story, I'll have a really solid 48. And ever since then, that's been like my mantra. I was like, just have really good, surround yourself with good people, and worry about your story. The story should be, I think, the principal aspect of what you're trying to say in a 48, and everything else will just is gonna fall into place, I think. So.
And you've won how many now? Like for Cleveland.
For Cleveland,
yeah.
We won 2 48s. We won 2018 and 19, the summer 48s. So.
And what other awards have you won though, other than winning the whole thing?
Gosh, recently we've done 3 48s. We took a long 5 or 6 year hiatus, but 2018 we won I don't even know how many awards. I think 6 or 7 or something. For a film called 2 for 20. And then in 2019, we did the Summer 48, which we won, and we got 8 or 9 awards for that. And then we also did the Horror 48, which we did not win, but we did win the most awards. We won 9 awards.
Go figure.
So we win the most awards for the one we don't win the whole thing. But that was fun, though. I think I honestly had the most fun, I think, with the last one. I want to say with the horror one, because I felt like I was fully in control at that point. Like in 2018, that one, which we'd never won before. We had never even been nominated for anything before, ever. Yeah. And so for us to get a bunch of nominations and to win was really cool. But I still was a little weird about it. I wasn't confident enough. And then the summer 2019, I was more confident, but I still was I was like, oh, now I have to, maybe win again. There was so much pressure because we had won the year prior. But then for the fall one, I was like, screw it. Let's just make a really solid short film. Doesn't matter what it is. Just make a really solid short film. So I felt like I was fully in control of it. And thankfully I had amazing actors that I could rely on, which is a huge pro tip, by the way, for those watching. I think the secret is to get really talented actors. Really talented actors and really good sound can mask a really bad movie. So that's a secret.
Do you have a favorite 48 that you've done? Which was your absolute favorite that you're the most proud of?
I think we've done 5 in total. No, 6. We've done 6 in total. Okay. And the first 3 were just not very good. And the last 3, which was 2018 and 19, I don't know if I could choose. I want to say that The Unseen, I think, is my best one. But I think 2 for 20 is my favorite one because that was
the one you're most proud of.
Yeah, I think so, because the 2018, it was the first time we had won, first time we had been nominated. So I remember when we actually won, we were like, what? I mean, are you sure? We'd never won anything. So that was a really cool moment when they called our name. I was like, because I'd never honestly thought that we would win. I just knew that I wanted to make a really good movie because my other ones had been crap. So I'm like, I better, show up with a really good movie. Because people had known me around Cleveland to make solid feature films. But they had also known me to make shit 48s. So I was like, I'm going to prove them wrong with this one. I'm going to make a really cool 48. And I stepped it up. So thankfully, and I had a great small team for the 2018. I didn't know half the crew. I hired the crew weeks prior because I didn't think I was going to do it. and I was like, I'm gonna do it last minute.
The 2 for 20 one.
2 for 20.
Yeah.
And everyone was unavailable. So then I got actors from Columbus to come in.
Mhm.
So I was like, Columbus actors, come on to Cleveland. And that's how we pulled it off. So
Yeah, you actually asked me to participate in that one, but I was already on Johnny's team.
yeah, that's right.
It was my
See, all the good people were taken.
final one.
All the people were
Yeah.
taken. So
So the one where you quit, that would be your
my first one.
the one that was
Yes, let's not even talk about that one.
The one-
That one. It's called The Story Never Told for a Reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
So you since you won, you got the chance to go on to Filmapalooza.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. No, that was amazing. It was a really cool experience. We went to Orlando in 2019, I guess. And then this year it was in Rotterdam, but I didn't get to go because I just didn't want to go, honestly. I couldn't afford it. It was a whole thing.
And passports.
Yeah, I didn't even have my passport. I'm just like, oh, it's just too much right now.
Yeah.
But we did have representatives there. Ern went, one of our producers. But Filmpalooza in Orlando was a blast, man. It was like a party after party after party. Like as soon as we got there, it was a party. I remember like, man, it was great because it felt like just a bunch of my friends and I on vacation, but it was like a film festival vacation. Like it didn't really matter that our movie was playing. It just mattered that we were all there together, watching other filmmakers and other artists and supporting each other. So that was just a really neat experience. And actually the 48 asked me to participate in a panel at Filmpalooza in last year. So I got to speak in front of a bunch of filmmakers about feature films because at that point I had just released, or I was about to release, Fighting the Sky, my feature film. So I got to tell them how I made it for super cheap and all that stuff, and it was a huge packed room full of young filmmakers wanting to learn, and I'm like, wow,
Cool.
it was really, really cool. So
And you took a couple carloads of people down there with you.
we took a huge team. Even people that weren't on the team went to
Right.
to parade with us. We literally had maybe 15, 16 people. It was a madhouse. I remember we even had a giant pool party at one point because I was I was in these villas. We rented these villas and it had a bunch of rooms and everything. And I remember I was just telling everyone don't worry about the don't worry about the cost. I'll cover a lot of it. Just come and party with us. Or just room with us. Whatever. We'll just party. So Misha was there and a bunch of people. I think who else was there?
BJ was there.
BJ was there.
Sean Cato was
yeah,
there.
yeah. Sean and Jake and just a bunch of people were there, and it was just like a freaking crazy time. I remember I wasn't sober for a lot of it, so I wish I could remember. My friend Jason was there, which was crazy because he's the guy that gets me drunk. See, I don't usually drink that much, but when Jason's around, he was a long-time producer of mine who lives in Florida, he came up to the festival and he was just getting me drunk. And it didn't help that the 48 gave free drink tickets for every bar. Whether it was a bar crawl, you get a free drink ticket for every bar. Yeah. So it was a hoot, man. It was crazy.
How was it being at Filmapalooza? You're seeing films from all over the world. How did you feel about seeing different competition? Other than just the Cleveland
sure,
films?
yeah. I thought we did pretty solid because Misha and I represented Cleveland. I guess both years, last year and this year. And I thought our movies were good both years, but damn, those European movies, even some of the Asian movies, they're crazy good. They're really, really good, especially the French movies, which they always win for some reason. The French movies, I don't know how they do it. I don't know if it's a 72-hour 48 for them, but it feels like they must have taken their sweet time with them. It looks super professional. My goal is to someday beat those French movies at Filmpalooza. Because they're just way too damn good. And you know what? The Netherlands pulls off some amazing movies. In fact, Netherlands had the best movies that I saw at Filmpalooza when I went. It was incredible. I was just my jaw was dropped watching these movies. I'm like, wow, these are very sophisticated, incredible, perfect, pristine cinematography and acting. It was nuts. Yeah.
So it's the whole package. It's the color grade, the actual shooting of the film.
See, I can't even.
The editing. What makes it so much better to you?
I wish I could pinpoint it because if I could pinpoint it, I'd imitate those fuckers, and then I'd win. I'd try to beat them at their own game. But that's what makes it so clever. I feel like you'd have to really study their movies, which sounds crazy to study other people's movies, other young filmmakers. But sometimes you got to do that. But I just think honestly, it's their aesthetic. It's just their overall aesthetic. I think they have a different way of thinking and approaching their blocking and some of and some of the camera movements and things. that we're not used to. And I think as a community as a whole here, we kind of learn from each other. And I think we're like in this globe where we're all learning from each other, here in America at least.
Mm-hmm.
Where in Europe, they're like trying different things. They're innovating different things. And yeah, man, it's kind of inspiring, but also frustrating because you want to do that kind of stuff, you know? Like when we did Inseparable, which was my film from last year, from 2019, that won the Best of Cleveland. I was trying, man. I was trying, but I still couldn't achieve it. And I remember like watching the movie. After we had turned it in, I was just like, damn it. Like, you know, that wasn't really what I wanted to do. That really wasn't what I wanted to do. It was a cool story, you know, it was awesome. It was a cool action flick, but I still wanted to be more European. I wanted to have that aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
But then again, you're still seeing the best of the best there.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in seeing some of the ones that didn't?
No, I want to learn from the best.
Yeah.
Don't show me the ones that didn't. I'm not
Because
interested.
that might not be
I'm not
representing the
interested.
whole.
Yeah, I'm not interested. I'm interested in seeing how these filmmakers who are doing things that are way beyond my level do it, and wanting to learn from them. So, but it's funny though, because when we went to Filmpalooza, and the first time with 2 for 20, and we showed ours, these filmmakers were coming up to me and they were like, "Dude, your movie was bananas. You know, that ending. Holy shit! How did you do that?" You know, like the Portugal team came up to me, Germany. They were like, "Dude, that fucking movie was awesome."
It's good.
And many people were like, "Dude, you might even win this festival." So I started kind of believing them. Obviously, that didn't happen. But it was kind of cool to see how maybe, you know, our perspective of their movies is one thing and their perspective of our movies might be something else. So it's very interesting.
So from your trials and errors, what are like the do's and like the don'ts for the 48? Like things that absolutely work for you,
Yeah.
and things that don't work for you. Like if you're gonna, you know, tell somebody, I want to do the 48. I've never done this before.
Mm-hmm.
What are the do's and the don'ts?
Get a solid team and get a plan, you know. And I'm not, you know, you obviously don't know your genre or your whatever your details, but just have a plan. You know, say we're gonna write Friday night, which is what I do. We write Friday night for a couple hours. We get together, order some pizza, bond. You know, get to know people. And then Saturday, wake up early. You know, 8 o'clock. Maybe start shooting at 9, but wake up at 8 o'clock. Any earlier, and I'll be grumpy. So, and I know myself. I know I'll get grumpy if I have to wake up at 7.
Bring coffee.
Yeah, right. Drink coffee, or for those of us who don't drink caffeine like me, just, you know, vitamin water, or tea. And yeah, just like film Saturday or film Saturday night. And I think the biggest advantage that we've had in the last 3 48s that we've done, where we won a lot of awards, is that we've been editing as we go.
Oh.
So we've had 3 different editors for all 3 movies. And all 3 of them are fantastic editors, and they've always been editing as we're shooting. So like, for example, for The Unseen, which is the last one we did, for the Horror 48, our editor Patrick, when I woke up Sunday morning, he had finished the movie. Like I woke, because we finished filming at like 4 a.m. So he was just like editing all day, all night. And I remember waking up at like 8 or 9 a.m. on Sunday, and he had it basically completely finished. The only problem was that it was too long. So we had to cut out like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But I think that always helps, is to have a really, really good editor that can keep up with you and edit as you go, and find a station where they can edit. And that's always been really helpful. To have outlets and power sources where you could just literally bring the editor to the set so they can start chopping things up. Or in the case of the last movie, The Unseen, we had a driver drive the footage from our set to my house, which is where we were editing.
Okay.
So, you know, it was like a 5-minute drive. So it's like, we film, you know, send the drive over, we keep filming, bring that other drive, and switch back and forth. So
that's good.
Yeah. And some of the things that you shouldn't do, don't overthink. I think that's the number one. Don't overthink it. I remember with 2 for 20, my co-writer Hannah, who wrote the movie with me, she was in Kentucky though at the time, and she had to go to Kentucky, and then she was like texting me like, "Don't shoot too much. Don't overshoot it. Just keep it simple. Tell your story. Don't overdo it. Don't because sometimes as filmmakers we cut up trying to make cool shots and inventing new things. You're like, oh, it's gotta be perfect. You gotta do this." And I remember we were doing a really cool dolly shot for 2 for 20. And it's, I wanted to do a dolly shot. I wanted to dolly everything. And then Hannah texted me. She was like, "Don't overthink." And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I finished this scene like half an hour ago. I'm just like inventing new shots that might not even make the cut. So that's when I realized I'm not going to overthink. I'm just going to like make it about the work and make it about the story. Can you tell the story as simplistically as possible while still trying to attain that aesthetic and make it look cool without really overcomplicating yourself? I think the more complicated you make things, the harder it is. Keep it simple. The simpler, the better, honestly.
True.
Yeah. So.
Well, if you could change one thing about the 48, like if you had the power to say, hey, this is what we're changing this year, and it happened, what would you change?
Well, you know, I really like the stuck at home challenges that they've come up with, where you during the quarantine, where you can just make your movie at home, and I like how you can just upload it online, and that to me is awesome. I think the biggest hurdle, the biggest like panic moment is to realize you have to drive, and for some people a long distance, because I live on the west side of Cleveland, and always the drop off has been on the east side of Cleveland, so you have to drive like 45 minutes to drop off the movie. And it's been a nightmare. So I think an online kickoff and drop off would be so beneficial. Or maybe not the kickoff because you have to draw from a hat or whatever, but the drop off. I think doing like an online, here's the file, would just be a huge time saver, and you might even get better films. So and it's still during that 48-hour window. So
that's a good point there.
Yeah.
So for a first timer, you have any advice? For
first timer?
Yep.
My biggest advice is get a good sound person. For me, that angel came in the form of Jake Kita, who literally, I mean, I'm telling you, man, just have good sound. It doesn't matter if you're filming on an iPhone or like any kind of phone. If you have good sound, and if you have just anything that shoots just a normal camera, your movie's gonna look and sound a million times better. And trust me on this, because all my movies were crap until I got good sound. Like all my 48s were just awful. And then we got Jake to start do our sound, and it was like night and day. I was just like, oh my God, like, you know, the shot could be terrible, but it sounds beautiful. So maybe it's a beautiful shot. I'm telling you, if you get good sound, and add sound effects too. The other thing, sound effects mask things that are lacking. Like say, for example, you're doing an action scene and you lack the sound effects. People may think of it, they may look at the scene, they may go, oh, there's something missing there. Like it was cool, but there's something missing there. Add like a bunch of sound effects. Doesn't even matter if they match, just add sound effects, you know, and it'll trick your mind into thinking, that was fucking bananas. That was crazy.
Yeah.
And I've done that so many times. I've just added sound effects upon sound effects, layering sound effects along with your good sound. It's going to do wonders for your movie. That honestly is my biggest advice that I've seen many people not do, is invest in their sound. So
yeah, that's a good point there.
Yeah.
Did you want to plug any of your up and coming projects or anything like that?
Yeah. So we finished last year. We wrapped a feature film called The Stars and the Storms, which we are just getting ready to. I mean, really finish. I mean, it's been finished for months, but we keep polishing it. So that one is coming up soon. The trailer is out on YouTube. The Stars and the Storms. You can just search for it. And then we're also working on a couple of short films this summer. We're doing Shades of Red, which is a really cool horror thriller that Ron's working on as well. So yeah, I think those are the only two. And then we had a couple things that we had to put on hold because of the whole quarantine thing.
Yep.
But yeah.
How have you been holding up for this whole quarantine thing?
It's been interesting, man. It's been interesting because it's a lot of time to myself, honestly, to reflect and to write. So I've been consuming a lot of content. I think I've just been like watching things that I normally would have put off, you know, because everyday life is so busy. So then now I can like, oh, this movie, I wanted to watch this movie for like a year. You know, I haven't even opened the DVD.
Yep.
And now I can finally like watch it and start studying things. So I've just been watching things and learning, and I've been writing a lot of things. There's a feature film that I wanted to do this summer, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to do because everything's just kind of crazy right now. But I've been doing a lot of writing and exploring new genres and exploring new ways of writing, which I hadn't done before. So,
well, if somebody wanted to reach out to you or see your stuff on social media, how would they search you?
Yeah, I mean, just Conrad Studios on all social media, on Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of the crazy ones. Conrad Studios, or my personal page, it's Conrad Faraj 53, which is on Instagram, I believe, or on Facebook, it's just facebook.com/Faraj. So,
well, I appreciate you meeting with me today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Ron.